It's time for Q&A in the Kitchen. It's a podcast and YouTube series where tattoo artists in a piercer talk about some of the more common questions those that collect tattoos and piercings and whatnot may have. Brought to you in part by Skin Kitchen Tattoo in the Axiom Body Piercing Studio. Today we're going to talk about how tattoos and piercings help with your self-worth and self-esteem.
Wow, self-worth. We're taking it deep. There.
You know, how you view yourself.
I didn't bring my water wings. I don't
or maybe how it can change the way you feel.
You perceive yourself.
Yeah,
because the way you say it's almost a guarantee.
Okay, so that's a teaser. Let's introduce the crew.
Do you remember my name?
Yeah, St. John.
I'm excited about this teasing thing.
Well, I decided that I was going to flip it because I used to, we want to grab them right off the bat.
Right,
let
like
them know what's
their neck?
going on.
Boom, flip it.
Yeah,
Like a pit bull.
I haven't gone to that type of club in a while, but I'm down.
Let's do it.
No
hands.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of club you.
Did that really throw you off?
Yeah,
First trying to warm up.
Jimmy, St. John, not James.
Thanks.
See, the reason is I used to know this guy named Kurt St. James.
He was an imposter.
I like James Bond.
And I knew a guy named James St. James.
I'm like right from the Bible. St.
And
John.
they were both in like rock and roll bands. Like one of them was in Tenderloin. I can't remember who was in the other one.
It was their
anyway,
stage
that's
names.
why
Mine's my real
St.
name.
James pop probably. And directly to my right, oh, by the way, he does tattooing at the Skin Kitchen. And then directly to my right is Jack Lowe, owner of the Skin Kitchen and also tattoo artist. I'm DaVo. I do body piercing and own and operate the Axiom Body Piercing Studio, or whatever the hell I call it this week. And this is over here on my left is Brent Starr. He's a tattoo artist at the Skin Kitchen. So basically, he wants to start this one.
Not
That
it.
doesn't matter.
What was the question?
Basically,
That's your self-esteem of your tattoos.
how does it improve or what have you your self-esteem when you get tattooed and pierced?
I'll start it off if you want. I don't care.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It goes back to like we've talked in other series, other shows. That's one of our responsibilities. Some of the pressure is we're accountable for how this person perceives themselves. You come in, average, no tattoos like everybody else, no body modifications.
Boring.
Yeah, and when you leave,
Unused.
you look better naked.
Untapped.
Yeah, you look better naked when you leave here because we give you something to look at other than yourself.
Yeah, we take the attention off of you. Nice.
But
let us distract people from how disgusting you are.
Don't worry about going to the gym.
you don't have to wear that shirt anymore when you go to the pool. Just take it off now. We'll cover you
We're
anyway.
putting a bumper sticker on our Lamborghini, right?
Yeah, baby. I bought my other car as a golf cart.
Yeah, nobody's going to notice that beer gut when you've got the Mona Lisa on your back.
Well, yeah, when you totally cover yourself, it makes up for stuff. Like it gives a lot of people confidence.
So you're still sticking with this.
Yeah, I'm rolling with it, baby. I'm already down the hill. I got my feet up and everything.
Okay.
Soapbox
So
derby.
instead of being the guy with the beer belly in the pool, you're
the guy with the big cool tattoo shirt on.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Doesn't matter how fat you get. You got tattoos. You look cool.
How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit?
Oh.
You're the captain. You're sailing us.
I know. I'm fucked. That's funny.
And we're not obligated to go down with the ship.
So basically,
I'm getting on the
to
dinghy.
summarize, Jimmy says, if you're ugly, tattoos can help.
Yeah, they help you get laid. They make you look better when you're naked.
I guess that's true.
It's true.
Well, it's like I made a video just recently where I was talking about how we perceive piercings based on sex and gender and etc. And one of the things I said was, people are always worried they're going to get hit on by somebody that's not going to be on the same wavelength than they are.
Stop being so good looking.
Yeah, whatever. Just take it as a compliment and move on.
Yeah, it's like, you're going to get hit on more because the piercing makes you more beautiful and more attractive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I used to hate how I looked when I pulled back that shower curtain in the morning, but now that I'm covered in tattoos, it's not so bad.
Right.
There's something else to look at besides me.
It's like if you crash a Pinto, it sucks, but okay, you'll find another Pinto. But if you crash a Pinto with the Mona Lisa in the back seat,
yeah, it's worth more.
It's like, oh man.
And if you get rear-ended with the Mona Lisa in the back seat and the Pinto,
let us be the Mona Lisa in your back seat.
Yeah, it's like the people that had it's like people that had Fieros And then they got the kit cars to make it look like a Ferrari, so now it's a Ferrari.
Those are awful.
Yeah, but it doesn't look like a Fiero no more.
Yeah. Well, and that's a lot to overcome.
Well, that's
well,
what
the
body
GT
kit's for.
Fieros weren't quite as bad as the other ones.
Right, but you put the GT kit of the Ferrari on it, and now it doesn't look like a Fiero any longer. So,
yeah, and if any car screamed, "I'm from the '80s," it's Fiero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that car could not exist in any other decade.
No, it was completely a decade happening car. But
and if it wasn't for Back to the Future,
if you wanted to move it from Pontiac to fucking Ferrari, dude, that was the way to do it.
What the fuck?
But it also was like the cheap man's Thunderbird.
I think we've gotten a little off topic. It's not about how we can help ugly people necessarily.
No, I think it does a lot. I mean, one of the I probably told this before, but a lot of people are like, why would you get a piercing in a part of your body that nobody's going to see? Like,
well,
for example, somebody's going to, but the person who's going to see it the most is you. So, like, the most common one is probably female nipple piercings, and it's like I don't know how many times I've done that set of piercings on a girl or a female, and immediately I like one of my sticks is, "You ready to do the fun part?" And they all look at me puzzled, and I go, look at it in the mirror, the fun part. And they'll get up and they'll do that, and then they just get this broad smile on their faces, like they're opening up. They're really proud of something on their body, like it has made a difference in their life.
That happened just 2 days ago for me.
Yeah,
I had a guy come in for his first tattoo. He doesn't get a large tattoo. He got these little bitty Lego lightsabers on his arm, and they're super neat.
Yeah.
And he was a little apprehensive. Like, I did the line drawing and showed him on the iPad, and he was like, well, I was thinking of having some shading here. And I'm like, oh, we're going to do that. Just we don't put it in the drawing because it'll make a blob on the stencil. And we tattooed, and we're having fun. We're talking. I get done tattooing. I'm like, all right, man, let's go check it out. And he goes in the mirror, and he's like, oh, my God. Dude, these are awesome. I got chill bumps. These are so much better than I thought they were going to be. Like, they're so cool. Yeah. Thank you. I mean, that's why we do this. Mm-hmm. That was the biggest tip reward I could ever ask for. Is him being so blown away and stoked by it. That's what I live for when I do this. Yeah, every tattoo I do, I want to do something that I would wear.
And see, I think the culture is flipped on that, because there was a day and age, like when we all started initially getting tattooed and pierced, where people looked at it as kind of a, and they looked at punk rock kind of the same way, or even metal kids as like, you're antisocial, you're trying to separate yourself, you're making yourself more ugly. Is generally why did you do that? It just makes you more unattractive. I used to hear that all the time from like family members, and it's like, no, this is my perception of beauty. When I look at that, I go, that's incredible, that's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm improving myself, man. Mm-hmm. I'm putting rims on or tinting the windows, or
Exactly.
It's
you
intolerance.
always go back to cars, don't you?
I like cars, man.
Yeah, it's just different strokes for different folks. I always say tattoos aren't for everyone. No. They really aren't. And it's just the problem is the people that they're not for seem to not like them very much. Where a lot of the old saying is the only difference between a tattooed person and not tattooed person is a tattooed person doesn't care if you're not tattooed.
Right.
And I don't know, it's definitely diminished. It's definitely gone down. Yeah, so I guess in a way, because it's so mainstream now, it is almost like a social, like kind of a status thing. Yeah. Like I've heard from some of the younger people that the first thing they mention is, man, that must have cost a lot of money. So if you're looking at it from the side of, well, if you have expensive things, then that makes you a better person, or somebody that people want to be like. Yeah. Then why wouldn't tattoos be the same thing?
Yeah.
To some people,
status symbol.
So I guess if a person values that as, man, that is something very cool, then they're going to think you're the coolest thing ever. But if your grandparents grew up and people that looked like you were the scumbags and the people that would take their purse,
the carnies,
well, they're not gonna make you feel real good about yourself more than likely. So. The best thing, I think that's maybe what a tattoo shows about someone is, I'm unapologetically going to be myself, so much so that I'm going to permanently do something that I can't take back.
So their
celebrating
circle
your
really kind of almost in a sense matters. Like, how little they care about what other people think in their circle.
In a way, but that doesn't mean that that's the black and white, because we have people that bring in 14 other friends and all of their friends have to put input in it, or they're not going to be happy. But I'm talking very generally that I think maybe for some people that's what it is and that's kind of why there's this camaraderie between tattooed people.
Yeah.
No matter how small or big your tattoo is, to you, it's giant.
Yeah.
Even if you got a small one, you still feel the same way that a person that just got their sleeve done feels.
Right.
Yeah.
You've broken through, you've crossed a line, you've stepped over, you've made yourself unlike other people permanently until you die. So it creates kind of a family feeling when you're around other people that have tattoos. Now, I'm sure anybody who's heavily tattooed has been out and have had people come up to you that do have a very small tattoo or maybe one, and they're talking to you like you're on the same, level of pain and experience. You got to remember that you were that person once too, and they've come and joined our flock.
Right. Join the club.
Welcome them with open arms. Don't make people feel bad because they maybe got a tattoo that you wouldn't get, or that was in the wrong spot or whatever. Their heart is in the right place, and we've all done it more than likely. That so be easy on them, man. So in that regard, I think it can really help you, can really raise your spirits, make you feel better. It's almost like a built-in family of people. Unless you're an asshole, then you'll get kicked out of any club. I
think a lot of that comes back to, like, as humans, we tend to look at people and we look for visual clues of strangers, especially, of what exactly they're about.
Right.
And tattoos have kind of become more mainstream, but at the same time, depending on the style, depending on the et cetera,
it's like flying a flag.
Yes,
it's an outward expression of your personal individuality. You know what I mean? Like, well, there's 1 in 100 that have a tattoo. Okay, well, I'm 1 in 100 that's willing to be different and stand out and say I'm different than you other 100.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing. That's
they're individual. They're
individuals.
They're not for everyone,
right?
It's
that makes
building,
the club.
and I think it helps to build that self-confidence because you're investing in a way in yourself, and your perception of what is beautiful.
You've taken that first step to outwardly say, "Hey, man, I'm into this. I think it's cool, and I'm going to wear it. And if you guys don't, well, that's cool too. But I'm going to wear it. I like it.
Yeah,
it's kind of your own thing.
It's weird and we've all been guilty of it at least sometime, that the way people feel that if they don't find value in something, then it should be considered worthless to everyone.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's so ridiculous. And those are the people that usually try to be the most different and stand out and prove that they don't like what everybody else likes. But you're coming down on people that are doing what you preach.
Right.
So let them, it's great that they like something that you don't like, because you know what? 10 years down the road, you may love that.
Right.
And it wouldn't even be existing if people like that weren't keeping it alive.
Yeah. Well,
there's been so many things that I've grown to appreciate that I would just blow off in my younger, life, that I wouldn't give a second to, and maybe think it was silly to care about something like that. So, so crazily. And then older I get, I end up loving that and appreciating the fact that there are people that are willing to keep that stuff alive. Even if I don't appreciate it, man, there's so many things that I haven't appreciated that have great wealth and that really are enriching to a lot of people. Just because I don't see the value in that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist.
Right.
And doesn't mean that it's going to overall help humanity, or at least help some people, get to a place that, at least makes them happy.
Makes them happy.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing,
Yeah. And tattoos are the same way. Really.
And it's a gain to appreciation.
Yeah.
It's like I dance as an art. I'm not a big fan of it.
But
this whole ballet and modern dance and everything. And my child, when he was really young, he took ballet, and I was encouraging him as a father should, and I didn't make any derogatory comments or anything about it. And I supported him. I took him to practice and everything else. But I just didn't get it. I didn't understand why this infatuated him until I actually sat down and started watching some of the more professional ones do what they were doing, and started to appreciate how difficult it was and how how disciplined it was and the amount of work that went into it.
Yeah, man.
And I think having a way to display that through tattoos, piercings, etc. It's like I saved up money to get this, or I went through this to get this thing, and this means this to me, and the rest of the world needs to know it. It's like shouting it.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it really is. It's super cool. It's like, I don't know, man, when you were a kid in school, like the kid that would put stickers all over his lunchbox and his desk and his
depreciate the value.
His locker, and everybody's like, you're making it look like crap. What are you doing? We're the kids that grew up and like got tattoos, a lot of ours. You know,
like to decorate the temple.
Yeah, dude. I don't have anything that I own that I can think of that looks stock and doesn't have stickers all over it. Or,
yeah, we know.
Yeah, well, whatever. You know what I mean. You do too. Look at you.
Yeah, I've got plenty of stickers on me.
I know.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's where
stickers.
That's how we were. We were those kids. You know what I mean? Because there wasn't a lot of them.
Because like your entire station's covered with stickers.
I know. I like it to have something to look at. Well, it's funny. I came to work here.
Takes the focus off his face.
Yeah. When I came to work here,
it's super.
One of the other artists here had stickers all over his station, and I was like, okay, so it must be all right. So I'm sticking them all over, and Jack comes in, and he's like, well, so much for that. And I'm like, what? He's like, well, I was hoping to go for the idea of like clean and like no stickers on stuff in this place. And I was like, I can take them off. And he's like, no, they're there now. And I'm like, okay, well, I wish I'd have known that before I stuck stickers everywhere. So then I went to sticking them on my trash can and stuff, so they're not, permanent crap. But
yeah,
I didn't know. I apologize for it, but
well, hey,
we're the sticker kids,
And back to that, do you think what attracted you initially into the tattoo shop was all the flash?
A little bit. Like I got really hooked on skateboard art.
Yeah.
Before I could tattoo. I was fascinated with like the designs on the skateboards and the decks and the shirts and stuff like that. And I always thought, man, that'd be really cool to wear like permanently.
Yeah.
Like something like that on your skin would be amazing, and I just.
Which a lot of those graphics.
A lot of those things are. That's where they came from, skateboard tattoo artists.
Underground art. Basically.
A lot of the designs were made, like Mark Mahoney, one of my personal favorite tattooers of all time out in California. He's got the Shamrock Social Club, and he tattoos. And he designed a lot of like your early skateboard guys that you'd be into, Jason, Jesse, and all these guys. He designed a lot of their designs for their tattoos and their skateboards.
Yeah.
And that's why it was so, I guess, attractive to me.
It was a good crossover.
Yeah, it really was. It was. You could see the semblance.
Yeah, it's bold graphics.
Yeah,
but they were very tattooable,
very
recognizable.
Yes.
So when there was a kid or two that got them, it jumped right out, and you knew exactly what it was.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, the skater kids, they always kind of they're kind of on the outside, they wore the clothes that distinguished them and had their hair that distinguished them and did their thing. So I think, when tattoos kind of crept in there a bit, that kind of became part of what distinguished them.
The Godoy boys, the Godoy twins, they skateboard. They were super famous, professional skateboarders. They were both super into tattoos, and they got tattoos and tattooed each other and learned how to tattoo. They own patents on several tattoo machines now, and they both tattoo professionally and still skateboard. Like that was one of their, big leeways in, and that was fascinating to me.
And part of it is that when you get into subcultures or whatever you're into, there's always different levels of it, and there's nothing wrong with one level over another. No. There's the people that kind of they're interested but they're not committed. And most of those people are the people that are into a lot of stuff.
Right.
They've got a lot of interests and they just enjoy things. Then there's the people that are kind of a little bit more into it, and then there's the people that are hardcore.
Right.
And I'm not talking about the pornography reference.
Right.
But in a way, it's kind of the same thing because you're showing more than.
Well, it's like Jack was saying. Like if you got like a little ladybug tattooed on you, or you got a full bodysuit, you're still in the same club, man.
Oh yeah.
You're both on the same wavelength. Like it's a super cool thing.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time when they come in for their first tattoo, I'm like, well, man, that's awesome. Blah, cool, blah, 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 cool. And I'm like, before they leave, I'm like, oh, well, welcome to the club, man.
Yeah.
And they're always like, they turn around with this huge smile and they're like, yeah, man, that's cool. Thanks. Like, yeah, you're in. Yeah. Like, you're part of the crew now.
Yeah, there's nothing that you'll ever experience that can even come close to what it feels like to be tattooed. There's nothing. I mean, anything else you can be left behind when everything else is gone. But it's
but you share that with
it's a way of customizing your skin, and whether you like it or not, it becomes who you are, and a part of you literally becomes a part of you living your life. And when you're done living, so is it. You've got it there to share and show your path the whole way. Skin. And nothing can
There's
do
nothing
that.
like it.
Nothing at all.
Right.
So, yeah, it does something weird to your freaking brain, man. Don't do it.
Put a little
Once you
comeback
do
in
it-
that ink.
Yeah.
Like, kick
The
coming
ink
back.
gets in your brain.
Yeah, it
There is
must
a-
be that heroin we put in.
There is that company that you can go and they
Get
preserve your
heroin in it?
No, they preserve your tattoo.
Yeah, put heroin in it.
No, they preserve
He was
your,
already in his car, like,
Right.
"Ugh."
I'm leaving. There's a company that preserves your tattoos after life.
Yeah.
You can I've been looking into it because I would like to have it done. For a whole bodysuit, it's between $80,000 to $100,000. You can start paying on it like an insurance policy, and it covers it for when you pass on. If so your family doesn't have to absorb the burden.
That's really cool.
And you can be. They take you, they skin you, and they send it to this company. They preserve your skin so it won't rot or
They
anything.
tan it.
Yeah, and then they put it under. They frame it and put it under glass, UV protective glass, and all that stuff, so it won't fade or anything like that. And they send it back to your family. Mm-hmm. You can have just one tattoo done. You can have your whole body done. You can, whatever level you like to do.
I'd want a lampshade.
Well, you can do whatever
Just
you want.
basically
with
because I think like some of them would look really cool lit up.
Illuminated.
it. Well, I thought
Yeah.
like each one of my kids would get one of my tattoos, whatever's their favorite, so to speak. And then the rest of me, I would like to be split up and put into tattoo shops that I either worked at or wanted to work at, or so I'm around what I loved
See,
always.
I told you
And the
it was gonna be
artist will live
impossible to
on.
get rid of him.
Yeah, I'm never leaving.
Yeah, that it sounds macabre and kind of gross, but at the same time, I mean, tattooing is one of the most unpermanent forms of art that exist. It's definitely going to be destroyed. It is gone. It has a lifespan. It's really the only thing that beats it is a sandcastle, an ice sculpture.
Sand.
Things like that, because
Sand painting.
paintings can live thousands of years.
And I was thinking about that, and like if you had Michelangelo or a Rembrandt,
Yeah.
once you became old or it became old, are you going to burn it or throw it away? No,
No,
it's a
it lives
Rembrandt.
on.
It's
And
a
why do those
Michelangelo.
things still
Passed on.
exist
Well,
today?
there's tattoo artists in this industry that are the equivalent of that
right.
in our industry.
And maybe it'll be a traded
and why
thing,
throw
just
that
like
piece
art.
of amazing
Maybe we'll-
art away? There's people in Europe that have bought back pieces on people that are still living. They own the art. They sit in museums on display and whatever, and they get compensated for it. But when they die, it gets taken off of them and tanned and put under
Crazy.
glass, and they own that piece of art. It's a
So
work of art
it almost falls into that level of graffiti art.
and
When you
fine
really
art a
begin
little
to
bit.
think-
Yeah,
Because, which has been an
Oh, it
ongoing.
gets destroyed, you mean?
Yeah, it
Yeah,
gets
it's
destroyed
never
unless
there
somebody
forever.
comes along and goes, "Oh, that's art. We
Right.
need to save this. We need to preserve this."
exactly.
The sad thing is that I hopefully doesn't do what art seems to have done in the 20th and 21st century, which is, oh, this is profitable.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you get a whole nother level of.
For whatever reason, but like if you had one of those master pieces of artwork,
Yeah,
you're not going
like
to burn it when it
something.
gets old. So like, why would you burn this collection of some very pristine artists' work when you're gone?
Maybe that's part of what
It could
makes
be.
it special, because
Yeah.
it does have a shelf life. It
Well,
isn't going to
yeah.
be around forever. It's not a promised thing that's always
Right.
going to be around.
And
It's kinda-
only you
I don't
can
know.
own that.
Well, it's
you know,
right.
Yeah.
because
Well, it
it's
started in Japan
you.
with the Yakuza guys.
Yeah.
There was a doctor that paid these Yakuza guys that were going to be put to death to take their bodysuits and preserve them and put them up. And it's really interesting because there's generations after generations that like maybe tattooing goes back to where it's not, in the limelight any longer. It's not as popular. Well, there's still preservations of you to go and look and see what used to be.
Yeah, that would
know,
be.
done.
If tattooing didn't exist for generations and generations, and I was able to go see what the people that were here before me were doing, I would appreciate
neat.
seeing that. I would think
Yeah.
it would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Almost to the point to where I don't know how it would have died out unless it was made illegal.
Well, they did.
Don't give them
on
ideas,
that one
please.
But
already.
they thought about it.
Well, it was illegal in like Oklahoma up till a couple years ago.
Right,
Certain
like I
states.
New York
said.
City and a few other
Yeah.
places. And the only real like you look at the old guys, like the stuff from the 40s and
Yeah.
before that, if we wouldn't have had photography,
Right.
nobody would have known any of that existed.
Right.
And we don't have any idea what kind of color shading that was
Exactly.
really done on those.
Exactly.
It's
Think of all the stuff we have lost.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
only
yeah.
weird until it's not,
Right.
just like anything, if we had never eaten a chicken and then somebody ate a chicken, you'd think they were psycho.
Right.
The thought,
You were eating that bird?
Right.
Did you see what it did earlier?
the thought, so the thought of, filleting grandpa and passing his skin around the family sounds kind of weird, but really it's not any more weird than a lot of other traditions and things that humans do. So, but I could see it becoming kind of like a form of maybe considered macabre, kind of off-brand art.
Yeah,
Well, there
and
are
people trading in that flesh type.
There are people that collect various different macabre objects.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I just mean that tattoos specifically.
Yeah.
People having a room where they've got 17 different people hanging on the wall.
Yeah. Well, you got shrunken heads and skeletons and skulls and whatnot.
Then you get art snobs.
But will it break into the mainstream kind of art? Probably not.
I doubt it. But, it's still interesting. Some of it
gone
has.
in an unexpected direction here.
Sorry,
but that's what it's all about.
That's what it's about.
Yeah.
You're talking about like your.
But
your
now
persona,
imagining somebody that is looking back, like most common, or as you get older, you're always going to encounter people like, oh man, I wish I was around when you were. I never had an opportunity to do this because.
Well, if you were, you'd be as old as I am.
Yeah, exactly. and it's a natural as adults or old people to go, it wasn't as good as you think it was. But if it's going to get to a point, if that did happen, where it's like, oh, I always wanted to get tattooed by Paul Booth, or I always wanted to get a piercing from Fakir, or this or that, where people actually collect it as kind of an homage or a way of connecting back to that past.
Yeah, the closest you can get now is maybe getting on a website or going to a convention and buying artwork that they've done on paper that they've printed or whatever else, which is great because a lot of them are incredible and they have prints for sale. But
imagine if somebody that got tattooed by Sailor Jerry in his heyday was had their tattoo preserved. You could go somewhere and look under glass at a real piece of skin.
I'd buy that.
I would too. Exactly. That's my point.
See, so
you look and you're like, wow, that was done by this master artist, and I wasn't alive when he was alive.
It's history.
But I've reveled looking at his work for decades.
But
that's real.
But would it remain kind of like tattoo machines? Really, people that don't tattoo don't see a value, so they're not traded.
I don't know.
You can say that about
would it break out?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this in the last episode. It's finding
it depends on what it's worth to you.
Value in it.
I bet it would, because a lot of people outside people that tattoo obviously love tattoos and are very affected by them. So it would probably break into kind of that
a little
outer ring, but I could never see walking into grandma's house and seeing a pice of skin hanging on the wall. Maybe I'm wrong.
But,
next to the portrait of the 8 people that are dead that you never met, that you're going to promptly shred as soon as she's not with us anymore.
I don't know.
But there's always a buyer that will buy something that nobody else will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's always a market for, like we were talking in the last episode,
It just might
Baseball cards mean nothing to us, but some people pay millions of dollars for a piece of paper with a picture on it.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see if that catches on.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's another reason it not only boosts your self-esteem, but you'll have something to give the kids.
I mean, if you didn't have self-esteem and wanted to be skint and saved, your artwork saved or preserved, that's pretty self-esteem drawn right there to me, because if you're just a plain body, no tattoos or nothing, you ain't looking to get skinned and tacked out. Oh, look, there's a piece of Grandpa's arm. Here's his elbow from 1946.
Here's his thumb.
What's on it? Nothing.
So in a way,
it's to show how much of a coward he was.
It's just a piece of leather hanging there.
Immortalize yourself in a way, kind of like a little piece remains.
If you didn't think so much of your artwork or the way you look, you wouldn't want to preserve it.
Right. That means it's showing your ego.
A little bit, but your
self-worth.
Your self-worth, yeah.
And it does become part of your personality.
Yeah.
At least it has for me.
It almost has to.
It has to.
Yeah.
And I have, people that don't do this professionally or aren't in the industry that identify heavily as, I'm a tattooed individual.
Right.
When you're describing yourself, you'll usually list things like I'm tattooed, I'm pierced, and then you start talking about your interests. And usually most of those are kind of tied back. Like, it's not uncommon to have, and I've had discussions with people about music just basically because there are some references to some obscure stuff that I wear in some of my tattoos. Of course, there's the Slipknot tattoo, which was one, the bet that I lost. And
your word's your word.
Yeah, I know. And I still, I did renege on part of it because I never did wear one of their T-shirts.
Remember, kids, don't make stupid bets you're not willing to pay up for.
Yeah, and that, you look like a jerk.
And it's something I'm proud of because it supported friends.
Right.
That I was really proud of where they had gone in life. And it was a bookmark.
Still going.
That represents them going at least gold on their first record.
Yeah.
And even just that can, I guess, make you feel like you're a pretty darn cool dude.
Yeah. But I get asked about it.
You're part of that.
Right. So yeah, music has been a big part of my life. So there's the music references.
Right.
And I know people that have like camera tattoos or hiking tattoos or
chefs that have chef tattoos
or
motorcycle tattoos for motorcycle people. Yeah.
If they're into knitting, they have like the knitting thing.
Yeah, you got some crochet needles.
Yeah, and eventually, I've noticed that the trend in piercing now, especially with the expansion of the ends with the whole threadless thing, is a lot more of those are getting in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you have this hobby, it's not going to be some cheap piece of junk from China.
No.
It's going to be a nicely crafted piece of titanium that's been sculpted to fit. And you're going to have to invest a little bit because they're more expensive, but you have a way of representing and putting out that
if you're a collector, it's okay.
It's saying, hey, I'm into this, and hey, this is a big part of my life. This is important to me.
And if that's not important, there's always a lesser route to go through.
Yeah.
You just, might not be invited to the cool kid table.
Yeah, maybe.
It's like the
but that won't matter because it's not as big a deal.
It's like the old joke, kids, alcohol and drugs may not make you smarter, but it'll make you more interesting.
Yeah. It'll
tattoos
just like
and
tattoos.
piercings definitely make you more interesting.
That's true.
And they're conversation starters.
Absolutely. I can
if
start
you're
a
a shy
conversation
person,
anywhere.
get a tattoo or a piercing that's visible. You're going to eventually have a conversation about that.
Yeah, they're going to make you.
It might be about Jesus riding a platypus or something weird like that, but
and that might be an interesting conversation.
There you go.
You would not
starts off interesting.
You would not have had that conversation.
Right.
If you're boring, get tattooed. It'll give you something to talk about.
There you go.
Make you look better and more interesting. See?
Tattoos
It's all
for
kinds of
losers. Don't do it. I've
been making uncool people look cool for hundreds of years.
Yeah, it's worked out okay.
And it's kind of like the difference between a stock vehicle, going back to your car
To a hot
references,
rod.
to one that has pinstriping and
You got
bumper
flames on it
stickers.
or rims on it or tinted windows. Like
A lot of fun is customization.
exactly.
Yes.
Hey, and some people like stock. That's fine.
cool. But you know how boring it would be if everybody liked hot rods or everybody liked stock. Like,
Exactly.
Wow.
I love to see a nice stock old car.
I do
It's
too.
awesome. I love that they exist and that there are people are into them. It's the same way I love that how
See that
people
hot
take
rod.
them and customize them and feel
Exactly.
like there's area to improve or make it more their own. That's great too.
They're both equally cool, man.
It's putting your mark of ownership. And what do you own more than your own body?
Nothing.
Boom.
For now.
And
For
I
now.
think in a lot of ways that's why I pierce people in the past that have gone through some type of abusive relationship or what have
Yeah, you have
Right.
to move on.
or a traumatic assault.
Right.
And part of that healing process for them was getting pierced because it was like, this is mine. It's nobody else's.
Same thing for tattoos. You've had some tragedy in your life or some high point in your life and you want
Health
to memorize
issue.
it or remember it or you beat cancer or
Yeah.
your kid that you thought would never get out of third grade graduated college. Like, you know what I mean?
It's
You
a
know, there's
healing
all
kind
kinds
of
of stuff.
symbol
Yeah.
of the
It's-
healing
it's that,
or
like,
passage.
Putting it to bed, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Chapters.
Chapter marks.
Like
Yeah.
a chapter marker.
It's pretty great.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of the best things about them for me personally is it just
Me
kind of
too.
I can look at them and remember where I was, who I was at the time, who was
Exactly.
around me. And that's kind of one of the funnest things to think about them.
I tell people that all the time. They're like, well, what does that mean? Like, the skull on your hand. Like, it really doesn't mean anything, but I can tell you where I lived, what tattoo machines I was using when I was tattooing, where I worked, who I was dating, what car I drove, where I lived. Like, I can tell you everything about my life that moment
Yeah.
because it's a timestamp.
Nobody asks a guy that owns a hot rod with a flame job on the front, what do the flames
mean?
mean?
What do the flames mean? Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. A lot of tattoos are done, and I get because I think they look cool.
Yeah.
I like the artwork, and I'd like to wear it. That's it.
But it
I
still means
connect
something
to
to
that.
But it marks a time in my life as well.
right.
And there are some times where those two things come together. I get a tattoo specifically because I want to remember an event or a time.
Yeah.
And so either way, it doesn't matter really what it is to me.
Yeah.
If I like the way it looks and I think it'll look good on a certain part of my body, I'll get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It
at the
doesn't
same time,
devalue either one.
yeah, same time I've got tattoos on me that it doesn't really matter what they are, but they mean a lot to me just
Right.
because of the timing and who did it.
And sometimes they can bring up that just happened kind of moment where you're looking at something that you look at every day, and for one reason or another, the synapses fire in a way that reminds you of something that was going on in your life for that period of time, and maybe it's somebody that's not in your life anymore,
Right.
and you've forgotten about that memory, the one time you did that right before you got the tattoo, or while you were healing it, or right around the same time, and this great memory that you totally forgot about, comes back.
It's probably the reason I'm so bad at taking photos. I was listening to it. It's like,
I'm terrible at it.
because I don't see the value in it right then.
Right.
I don't think, oh man, I just don't think about it. And but down the road, when you dig up those pictures and you see those pictures from so far ago, you're so glad you have them. So tattoos can be kind of the same way. It might not be intended that you got it to remember this stage in your life or what was going on,
but you do.
But you will.
It makes it hard to forget once you have that visual reminder. You're like,
it kind of sparks your brain back to who you were and kind of how you were thinking, and it might even show you how much you've grown, or understand more how maybe younger people feel, because I was that freaking kid and I was that freaking stupid. When I
was younger, I was notorious for it. I'd go places like all over the world, Japan and whatnot. Hey man, you taking any pictures? No man, because I'm going to come back. I'm going to be here again. Like, well, duh.
Yeah.
Well, it's been 5 or 6 years, in between going because of circumstances, life, corona, COVID. It doesn't matter. Whatever happens.
Wish you would have had some pictures.
Well, that's what I'm saying. The pictures that I did take are more valuable to me now because I look at them and I go, man, I thought I'd be just right back there.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I haven't been. Right. But I'm really glad I have this photo of when I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my problem is I end up taking photos of everybody else.
Right.
Well, yeah.
And everybody thinks you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you're not in them.
But you can always say, well, I took the picture, so I was there.
Yeah.
No.
There's a line in a No Effects song. It's about, I think, Tony Sly, I think his name is, where he's talking about his friend dying. And he says, I don't have any pictures of the two of us because nobody thinks about taking pictures with your friends.
Nope.
Because you never think they're not
see them all the
there.
time.
You don't think they're going to ever be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they are.
And I don't think there's very few of me, especially in that, when everything was happening, which I say the most active period of time I had in live music was probably from age 23 to about 40. Mm-hmm. There's very few pictures that I have during that period of time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They're all I have a ton of my kid and my family, but I don't have any of like the club and what was going on and all the people I met.
All my favorite pictures were taken by somebody else. Usually,
because that makes it sure that he's in the photo.
See?
Well, a lot of times I didn't even know we were being photographed.
See, he's in the photo.
Those are usually the best photos.
Yeah, I'm in them.
Like
the photo I took of you and Jack tattooing you. I like that because it's candid and it shows a moment.
Yep.
That I couldn't have captured. I was getting tattooed, man.
No,
and now when you look at the tattoo,
you'll catch up.
Think of the photo.
Right. Absolutely. There's pictures of me in Japan that people snapped when we were running around doing crazy shit, and I never in a million years would have thought, oh, let's take our camera out and get a photo of this.
Right.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. We were doing something. But that photo that they took of all of us doing stuff and the people I'm with, man, that's amazing.
And this really doesn't make any sense to anyone unless they're super old, because now everybody does take pictures of everything they do for the most part. But even still, I don't. So fuck you guys, okay?
They're not worth as much if you have 1,000,000 of them unless you have 100 of them.
It devalues it because what you end up with is files upon files upon files
that you never look at.
Yeah, that you don't care about.
And then you just spend I do this all the time because I take a lot of photos. And I'll be looking for a thumbnail, and I'll go, oh, I took that photo of blah, blah, blah 6 months ago. And I'll look through all this stuff, and it would take me 5 hours to find it because there's all this other stuff that we've taken, video, everything else.
I took 80 pictures of that sunset that day.
Completely full again. We have over, I think, 25,000 terabytes of just video footage and photos, maybe more
in the
than
archives.
That. Yeah, the archives. And I need to start cleaning that up again.
Maybe we'll have a garage sale.
Yeah.
We'll just
you want to buy random pretzels?
Sell raw footage.
Doing stupid stuff?
You want some raw footage of...
It's the blooper reels.
St. John's Centerfold.
Ooh, a calendar coming soon.
St. James Centerfold.
It's the Burt Reynolds Centerfold. Blooper reels and whatnot. Outtakes.
That was like the best part of all those Cannonball Run movies.
I know.
Was the outtakes.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, Dom DeLuise and the Big Gulp.
That forced you to
sit there and watch the credits.
That was awesome.
Yep, that was on the other day, and they played the bloopers.
I love them.
Yep, good stuff.
Now they tie them in with the credits usually.
All right, wrap it up. I'm bored.
You have to watch a bunch of black screen credits, and then it gets, and there's like 5 minutes of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's the famous Marvel shit.
And by then, I'm just like, I don't want to watch this.
Did you watch
I love it when you get to the end of the movie and there's 15 minutes left and it's all credits.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've done pretty well on this one.
Running now.
Yeah.
Just
See, our version of the credits is this part. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a thumbs up if you're watching the video. If you're listening to this somewhere or watching this video and you'd like to see more of these, please subscribe, hit the notification so that you're notified when it happens. Check out our merch store. Links in the description. We have some T-shirts and stuff there and fanny packs. Till next time, here's hoping all your tattoos and piercings heal with ease and without a single issue. And if you're in the Des Moines, Iowa area, we all hope to see you for your tattooing and body piercing needs in the future. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Keep on the lookout for that summer issue of the Fat Guys in the Swimsuits calendar.